report, which they know you guys really well, and also happy to be helping out.
Super.
Rick Smith, I've been here about 10 years and appointed to the committee this year. This is my second meeting. So
Roberta Shear, and I came aboard just January 2021, or is that, yeah. I'm new, but it was in 2020. But I have been on the commission back in 08, 09. And then I left Rockport, but I had to come back.
Well, you have written several articles in the paper and
I've written a few history mysteries. I love to write history mysteries.
yeah,
Some of them aren't very mystery, but they're fun.
thanks.
I'm Mike Gear. I'm the vice chair on the committee. I've been on for 3 years, I guess.
This is our last.
This is our last year, mine and Betty's last year, so we need somebody to step up and study underneath us, but
You can repeat
yeah,
once.
right.
I've already repeated.
Yeah. I think I'm on my repeat.
It's our term limits.
Yeah.
And I work at the Aransas County Airport. I'm an Aransas County employee, so I work for Bubba, and then specifically I work for Betty and Rick because they're on the airport board. But right now I work for the community.
Yeah. Well, I'm Betty Stiles. I've been on it a long time. I've been chair. This is, like I said, I'm in my 4th year, but I served way before that. And I was also county commissioner for Aransas County. So Bubba and I've shared a time or two on sitting on the commission, but anyway, most of you know me.
I'm Bob Casterline. I'm the Precinct 2 County Commissioner. I guess the county liaisons to this committee right now. I am a past longtime member of the commission. Nice to be back.
It's nice to have you back.
Jerry Brundred, and I've been in it on and off the commission for a while and the other history groups, and you'd have to ask Betty because she keeps track of all that, keeps me out of trouble. But I've been here all my life, and I'm the county surveyor and been there about 44 years. But anyway, I'm born and raised here.
Donna Bronner is
Dorian Bronner.
Dorian, I'm sorry.
That's okay. 2 E's.
2 E's.
Yes, 2 E's, DOREN.
And she wishes to be a member. We can bring her in this year. She's as a non-voting member, but as the bylaws say in 2023, we can appoint, and then you can certainly be part of the group then. And just glad that you're enthusiastic and you can bring a lot of energy to us, and we appreciate you.
Oh, yeah, I believe,
stepping up.
I believe in doing my civic duty too, and history has always been a really passion of mine, so
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Well, welcome. We're glad to have you.
Have you spell your last name?
BRONNER.
Honor. Great. I'm Pam Stranahan, and I'm an advisor to the group.
Okay. A big advisor.
That just means I get to talk and I don't get to vote. Right. I think that's what it might mean. So we'll get back to what I'm doing this evening a little bit later. I'm primarily at this time involved with the Friends of the History Center at the History Center, but also on the board for the society too.
My turn.
Yeah.
I'm Colin Jackson. I'm born and raised in Rockport. I work for the county. I'm the IT director. And this is my 4th year on the commission. So I am also terming out. I'm the secretary on the commission. So I've got hence all the stuff in front of me. And so, yeah, so a lot of history that I've been a part of.
Yes,
so
you have.
it's fun to be here. But such things, we have term limits in our bylaws for some reason. I spoke to a counterpart at Nueces Historical Commission. They don't have term limits.
You know, and I think that's the way the bylaws are written. Pam and I talked about this the other day. If you read the first paragraph, it's almost contradicts the second paragraph.
Right.
So anyway, we got to look at maybe getting the bylaws changed. Yeah, exactly.
It takes a little while to realize there aren't that many people that really want to come to
Exactly.
Yeah, because for Davis, West Texas, they don't have term limits.
Yeah, well,
Term limits are good because it forces people to give up
Step-
their positions and new leaders to come in. It's really important.
Yeah, and it is, especially as we age, we're all not 16 anymore,
Oh,
so.
I hope not.
I'm sorry. I did
I
not
wouldn't
get
want
to
to take a
start.
chance on that again.
All right,
I'm
Sandra Richards.
Sandra.
Yeah, let's open the meeting. I declare a quorum. And I just want to introduce our new appointee, Sandy Rich. I want to say Richard so bad. I want to put that French
Whatever.
into it, and Sandy Richard. But welcome, Sandy. We're just happy to have you. And I know how much you and Mary do for this community, and especially with Sesquicentennial. Y'all were terrific.
Thank you. And we also are involved in Connie Hager. I'm president now.
Oh, okay.
Rolled over.
Yay.
Friends of Connie Hager.
All right. There's no citizens to be heard that I know of. Okay, no presentations. Let's, I sent out the minutes of the regular meeting.
And there are definitely corrections that need to be made because I did not get the list of who attended last meeting. That just totally went out the window. So that is not in it. I need to get that and add it to it. And there were a couple items where I could not understand, and it did not show up in my notes who made the motion in second.
Well, I did correct that.
You did correct it?
Yeah,
Okay.
in the minutes I sent out.
Okay,
But I did not do who was there and who wasn't.
okay.
So do we need to wait till he
your
gets that before we can
Well,
vote?
what we could do, we could vote
The amendment.
to amend it.
Yeah, we can vote the amended minutes in.
Exactly.
as
I make
amended.
a motion to, that we approve the amended minutes as Colin has stated. They need to be amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The treasurer's report, I sent that out today. I hope everyone got it. It's pretty straightforward. We haven't spent a lot of money yet. For those of you who are new, we apply in April of every year to the Commissioner's Court for a budgetary amount that they've allocated to us. And for the last few years, it's been $10,000. So that's what your report is based on. So when you get to the bottom of the report, you'll see the budgeted amount is 10,000. And we only spent so far in the first 2 months, January, February, $267.98, leaving a total of $9,732.02. And our treasurer couldn't be here tonight, so I'm giving a report on his behalf. If I can get a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
So move.
Jerry Brendrett,
Second.
Roberta, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. On the executive, I'm
I was
sorry,
gonna say that
Dave did.
that's just the treasurer's report based on this year's budget where we're in now. It's not the budget you and I were working on the other night.
No, we were
That's
working on
right.
2023, which comes up in just a minute.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Anyway, under executive, the orientation for members, Pam, you would like to take over and handle that?
You bet. Gosh, I'm glad to see so many faces around the table. It really is fun. Betty's been very active in recruiting, which is great. The Historic Commission, and you probably already know this, but you can certainly go to online and look up historic commissions, because this Historic Commission operates under guidelines from the Texas Historical Commission. So that's at the state level. And there's actually a law that says that every county has to appoint a county commission. Okay, so it's really, comes down from Austin, but then it comes to the county, and then here we are. Okay, so that's the way it works. And the commissions in different counties that you all have sort of referred to, differ in lots of ways. Some earn money, some have museums, some do a lot of different things. But here, we've been fortunate that the commission allocates a line item budget to this historic commission. And when I first started 15 or so years ago, it was like 5,000, and we've eached them up until it's 10,000 now. And every once in a while,
Don't say that in front of Bubba.
Bubba's okay with that.
That's not something that'll rely.
Anyway, there have been times when a different commissioner, not Bubba, but a different commissioner suggested, oh, we didn't need it at all because there were other organizations that could do this. And so we had to really campaign hard. So I'm just saying all that, just so you all realize that anytime you see a judge or a commissioner, tell them how much that we appreciate their budget that we get to do. And when you look at your budget, you'll see that a lot of it really goes to the marker program. And that's been one of the major things that this commission has done, and that is to nominate properties and subjects to get that official marker sign that you see. And Betty will be talking about that later because those have gone up. One of the things that's a little bit confusing in our county is that we have a lot of different groups doing history, okay? And I only ran off, I think, 8 of these, and some of you know them, but some of you don't. Colin, I'm not going to give you one. Betty, maybe you'll pass on. Yeah, they're coming this way. They're coming down both sides. It's just a one-page sheet.
Okay.
I think I know that.
Thank you.
Anybody else need
Did
one?
everyone get one?
Yeah, here's some.
One for everybody.
Maybe I have more than I thought.
Oh, that's okay. I'll take it back.
Yeah.
Anyway, as other people have said, Aransas County is so rich in history. It's really very exciting. When I moved here over 20 years ago, I didn't know very much about the county or this region at all. So I've had a wonderful time learning about it. It is so amazing in that, first of all, we had a really rich group of Native Americans who settled here all around the Bay Area, not on the Gulf side, but on the Bay side. So we had the Indians, American Indians, who were here for a long time. And then we had the Spanish come in as early as the 1700s. And that just blew me away when I found that out. So that's our Coconut Bay system that's so very, very important. And of course, then our after the Civil War, we had the real growth of Rockport in this particular area, and essentially ever since. You can see a whole accounting of that at the History Center because we put up a 2-gallery exhibit about Aransas County that really walks you through a timeline. But then looking on down at the different groups that are involved in historic preservation in the county, first listed is this commission, the Historic Commission. And again, that's comes down from the state. And we really, mainly work on those historic markers. We spend a lot of time, and Betty's really good at it, putting programs together about the markers, when they're coming out. We get a lot of publicity in the paper. So we really beat the drum for history when we do those markers. And they're really good because it does relate a lot of information to the community. And we have, how many? Mike, you worked on the marker guide.
56.
56.
Yeah, I'll pass these around. If you don't know
There's like
this,
70 something markers.
Yeah,
Well,
but 56 that are actually
Right.
marked.
so Mike Gear was the chairman of getting this together last year. And everybody ought to have these in their car, okay? And anytime you see somebody who doesn't know something, you just whip these out, okay? And then you've got something to talk to them about. This is every marker that's out here as last year. And of course, we haven't put up any since then. So it gives a real description of what's on the markers, a picture. My Probst redid pictures, and this is just a fantastic way, for people to get this
We spent about
impression.
18 months on,
It's on
I'm putting that
good paper
together,
too.
yeah.
It's not on just regular
Yeah.
newsprint.
And there are thousands of these. So if there are places that you go that don't have these, we just have to get them. You have to get them from Mike Probst, ask him for a stack of them and put them wherever you think they ought to go. They stay at the chamber, they stay at the History Center, they ought to be at the Maritime, they ought to be at the Fulton Mansion. I mean, that would be one thing that this group could really do. Be sure these things are
I
out
had them
there.
at Pops and they flew out the door.
Right. So I have two. If you don't have one, if there's anybody who needs one, I brought two this evening.
I have one.
And then what goes along with that, I'm kind of got off track, but what goes along with that is Pathways map. Okay, and this is Aransas Pathways. And these maps are all over the county and they're online too. But what's significant about them, because that guide does not have a map in it. But when you open up this Pathways map, and there are thousands of these for distribution, we just got 10,000 more printed. But when you open this up and look inside, okay, you have a trail to recommend to people when somebody says, well, how do I get to these? They're listed right here, not all of them, because some of them are sort of out in the county, but any of them that are downtown are on this map. They're numbered and keyed in. And, we forget to tell people that, especially those of us who've been involved in history, and you kind of know where they are, so you don't think about other people who don't know where they are. But we've got a lot of tools for this commission, to keep talking about history. And again, these are available. We've got a lot of them at the History Center. They have a lot of them at the chamber. And it's new. This is new, Mike. I don't know if you got a new one at the airport, but it would
The
be,
marker got it, I don't have that.
yeah, it would be useful to have this Pathways map, because on the front pieces, it's got kayak and birding sites. Okay, and then when you open it up inside, it's got the history on one side and the walking and biking on the other side. And this has just been redone. It's hot off the press by about 2 weeks. Okay, so this is, another really good tool.
So they're at the chamber if you need. They keep them there.
Yeah, they do. And we keep them at the History Center.
In the
We have a
History
box
Center.
at the History Center. It comes out of Aransas Pathways, but that office isn't always open. So those are the two places, pretty sure. Okay, if you look on this list that I just gave you, then the next group that's listed is the Historical Society. And sometimes the commission and the society get mixed up. It's just a natural happening, and you just can't worry about it. The society has its own board, it's its own nonprofit, and it publishes a quarterly newsletter that gets mailed out. And so if you're not a member, you don't necessarily get it, but you can be a member for, I think, $20. It's a pretty nominal fee. There is a website, which I've listed on here, which gives a lot of information. This group, the main thing that they do is gather photographs, historic photographs, and publish every year a calendar of historic photos. Okay, and this is a dual purpose. Not only does that calendar come out and alert people to what's around, to some history again, but it also lets the society collect those photographs and archive them. Okay, so when somebody wants historical photos, they can go to the archives that the society has that they hold, and that really is an important part of saving the history. They used to meet at the Rockport School on Live Oak, but that's being redone for the school, and so they haven't been able to hold any. Well, they used to do what they called a history lab there, and they haven't been able to do that now. since Harvey messed up the school. Okay, the next group listed here is Friends of the History Center, and that's the group that I put a lot of hours into. We moved a house 10 years ago, okay? And so we're going to be celebrating that this spring. 10 years ago, the county bought some property. It had a little house on it. They didn't want it. Took us about a year, and finally somebody donated some land. We moved the house. And so that History Center has 3 exhibits a year. And so we put a really big effort into keeping that fresh and alive. And then, so one gallery has a new exhibit every 4 months. The other gallery is all about Aransas County, okay? And we're open 4 days a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, okay? With staff on Fridays and Mondays and volunteers on Saturdays and Sundays. So I've listed all those times and dates for you there. And I've got a blank if you'd be interested in joining us as volunteer at the History Center. Okay, don't laugh, Betty. Now I know, I know. Shameless. I'm shameless.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I love you, but you are.
Okay. Then the group that's really coming online now, and maybe some of you know more about what's going on there than I do, is the Cultural Arts District, which has the depot property. And so we're sort of waiting to see what they're going to come out with. Sometimes I see them listing themselves as a museum, and sometimes I see it listed as a district. And so I'm not quite sure what their main goal is.
And a venue.
Yeah, I know they're trying to build up the district as an idea, and there's a lot going on there. And so that's just another group to work with, which we are. So there you go. And the reason I go through all that is because these groups do get mixed up, okay, by the general public, and probably by you, and almost by me, but not quite. And it doesn't really matter, okay? It doesn't really matter which group is doing something for history. We all can work together and accomplish more. And we can accomplish more when we know what each other is doing, you know, and really supporting all those different groups. And, you know, you may not want to put as much time as I do into it, but it's still a lot of fun and a lot can be going on. Okay, so that's the general Aransas County bit. And Betty fortunately didn't set a timer on me. You didn't either, Colin. Good. Well, anyway, here's this piece of paper if you'd like it. Sure. Okay, the next piece of paper I have is more about this commission itself. Okay, what does the commission do? And it's sort of evolved. As I said, other commissions do a variety of things. And so there's not a set agenda that has to be followed. But over the years, these are the committees that have evolved for this commission. Okay, and so you want to be sure. I think Betty's done a good job of already targeting people to be on different committees, you know, so this is probably redundant, but I think it's good for everybody to hear, and especially new people who haven't signed up for a committee yet. Obviously, the executive committee is the officers, and the main thing that they do is set meetings, plan meetings, do budget, do the open meetings training. You want to talk about that for a minute?
Sure. I just told Doreen that if she wants to, and Sandy's already done it. Everybody at this room at this table has done the Open Meetings Act and has turned in their certification to me. And what it is that basically if Mike and I talk about something and then Mike goes and talks to Rick Smith about it, then you're in violation of the Open Meetings Act. We can't do that. The Open Meetings Act it's a walking quorum. And so consequently, you got to be very careful. You can have ideas, you can, you know, but if it's something that's going to be on the agenda in the future or whatever, you need, and Bubba can talk, he's been a part of the Open Meetings Act longer than I have, but as a commissioner, as he and I were on the same commission, Bubba and I could talk about something, but if he went to the judge or he went to another commissioner, it was a violation of the Open Meetings Act. So it's why the training is very important. It's online, it's, you know, and you all have taken it, except Doreen needs to take it. And so consequently, it kind of keeps us honest.
Shouldn't take that long.
And it's an hour. It's
A
an
lot
hour.
of people have a misconception about some people would lead you to believe that you can't be in the same room together at a function or something. That's not right. You have to be talking about something that you're going to do business over and basically trying to set the votes up to do it to be in violation. So a lot of people interpret it that you can't hang out together or anything like that, but you have to be talking about.
Well, we would go to
business.
conferences together, and so we were all in the same room at the same time. So I mean, so there are exceptions, but you've just got to be careful.
Okay. Preservation and Public Policy is another committee. I think you've got something on the agenda from that. I think, Mark, you're targeted on that, right?
Well, you're going to talk about it because he doesn't know. I mean, I've got you. He's the chairman of the Preservation and Public Policy Committee, but you have the information on the historic preservation month.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I put down on this piece of paper that a survey was recently done by the THC. And that's just to let you know, they will be bringing that information to us at some point, and we'll need to figure out what we want to do with that. But after Harvey, the THC, the Texas Historic Commission, got big time funding from the federal government to come into communities that were affected by Harvey and do a survey of the historic properties. We don't know what they came up with yet.
No, we don't.
Okay.
They didn't notify us.
We've done pedestrian surveys before of the downtown area and of the historic neighborhood. So we have all of those files in what we call the vault. Okay, so we've got some pedestrian surveys. That means we looked at every single building and wrote descriptions of them. And Roberta was involved in one of those pedestrian surveys a long time ago. Okay, then the markers, and Betty will be talking a lot more about that in a minute with a couple of potential properties to get historic markers, and we'll elaborate on that where we need to. Budget and finance, I've already mentioned, but the next year's time is coming up, and it's kind of complicated to keep doing this year after year because you have to do it before you've spent this year. So it's kind of hard if you are used to doing budgets and looking at a history of what you spent and being able to construct your next budget. This is hard because you don't get a chance to see what you're spending before you have to submit a new budget. Anyway, we've got a good history of what gets spent, so we can do that. Okay, on public relations, it includes outreach and a website, which nobody has fooled with in a long time if somebody is interested in working on that. But to really update it, I mean, it's got good information on it. The Colin keeps up to date, right? You want to tell what you do on the web?
So the website, we try to keep the latest marker guide on there digitally. We, of course, keep our minutes, agendas on there. We try to keep updated information about what markers and who's on the board and how to get a hold of us if you want to be on the board. But the layout of it's outdated. It needs to be brought up to more mobile friendly because everyone's got a tablet and walking computer in their hand. So that's mainly the information that's out there is our current marker guide, who's on it and how to get a marker if you're interested, and how that we're tied to the Texas Historical Commission and things. So.
Is that basically a department on the county website?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, it's through the county website. And so it'll come up if you do a search for it.
Right.
But,
That'll come up
yeah.
by search as well. But.
Yeah, not too many people are wandering around on the county website and looking for it. So
Right.
tricky, but anyway, good search engines. Okay, the other things that this committee has done is take calendars to fourth graders. And there are 200 fourth graders, and the calendar that I'm referring to is the calendar of historic photos that the society puts out. And so the commission buys 200 calendars from the
230.
230, thank you,
I'm sorry, so bad.
to take to every fourth grader. Okay, you want to tell about doing that, Roberta?
Oh, well, Mark did too.
Mark?
He went with me.
Uh-huh.
And I had delivered them years ago where we did a little presentation and we were dressed up in the clothing, the old fashioned clothing, because the calendar was sort of oriented to the early 1800s. But this year's one didn't have any type of pictures. So, but we couldn't do it because of COVID this year. We just had a teacher, a fourth grade teacher, and I think a fourth grade student, and Mark and I. And my husband took our picture and we put it in the paper. We did a PR on it that we gave these. Of course, everything written about us was wrong. They had us be from the Historical Society, but they spelled our names right. So that was a good thing. But we did deliver to them the 230 calendars, and they seem very pleased. They get it every year and they seem pleased. And but we did not do any type of a presentation. It just wasn't feasible. But they got them.
Right. And you'd be amazed. Sometimes when we set up booths around town for things, parents will stop by. I mean, we might be selling the calendars at another time. Parents will stop by and say, oh, my student brought home one of those. So it's not only that they go to the students to see what's being done, but, whoever is at home gets to see it too. So, and then of course, public relations is publicity for any events that are coming up. Collections is sometimes called curation, but collections are things that historic items that people have, and documents that people have donated through the years. We keep them in what we call the vault. And is there anybody, have you seen the vault, Mark?
I've not. No.
Okay,
I
you
haven't
haven't seen
either.
the vault.
Never
You've
been to
seen
the vault.
Oh, we need to do a vault tour, Betty.
I know.
Okay. Okay.
Sounds creepy. Where is it?
No, it is.
It's a creepy part of town.
It's about the size of this room.
It's creepier than you can ever imagine.
I think it's air conditioned, isn't it?
It is air conditioned. It is
Okay.
fine.
It can't be that bad.
And they went from 55,000 square feet to 46.
Oh.
It is about the size of this room.
Yes, it is.
And but people have been taking care of it for years. And so there are like map cases that have posters, and people used to do funeral cards.
Yeah.
There are stacks of funeral cards in there. All the files for each historic marker is in there in a file cabinet. Some of the old records from the meetings like this are in there, and some of the county, actually, I think most of the county deed records got sent back to them. But anyway, there are a lot of odds and ends in there related to history, and really, really interesting.
A lot of books too. You have a lot of books. I know there's one that somebody let me take it home years ago, and my wife was a librarian, and she got online. She said, "You know how much that book's worth?" And when she told me, I took it back. And I went online, tried to buy this, and I don't remember the name of it, but the book has all kinds of stories about this area in South Texas back in the 1800s, and the author really holds your attention in it. But the book that's in there, it's like a several $100 valued book. And I found one online, but it was pretty close to, it was pretty expensive book, more than I wanted to buy just to read the stories.
Right. Well, and you can borrow it when you want it. So that's a good thing. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, if anybody is ever interested, we've had a computer for a good while, right, Colin? And a computer program that would allow an inventory of it. I inventoried about 10 years ago. And so the data is there on spreadsheets. And so essentially, anytime you wanted to look, we could find what was in there 10 years ago, but it's been rearranged by a committee person since then. And it's never been put into a computer program for collections.
And we also have the scanner for the barcodes. So it's going to be a lot easier to.
Yeah, we got the computer and software right as COVID shut us down.
Yeah.
Right, right. Anyway, that is a big need. And it's absolutely fascinating. It's just time consuming. Okay, on ad hoc, Betty and I chaired the sesquicentennial celebration, and we're looking for items to go in the time capsule now. That's on the agenda another place, isn't it? Or you want me to?
Time capsule.
Yeah.
You want to go forward with that while you're talking about it?
Sure. Here's, again, I just did one page, but we're looking for items to put in a vault, actually,
Safe.
that we're calling a time capsule. Mike, tell them about the.
It's a gun safe. It's
Safe, yeah.
it's about the size of that cabinet in the corner over there, a little bigger, probably width and depth, but not that high. And it was donated to us by a company out of Corpus Christi, Holland Safe. And they didn't ask for a single thing. They didn't even ask for any recognition. They just wanted their name on display in the county courthouse for the next 50 years. And because it will be on display in the new courthouse in some way. We don't know exactly what that is yet. We've heard that it may just be where there's a support beam, that those kind of create a little enclave for it. And it'll be behind a door or glass or plexi or something, but it'll be in a climate controlled building, which is important because and that's why it makes sense to put it in the courthouse, because the courthouse theoretically will always have backup power if we lose power in a storm. And so it'll be climate controlled even in the worst conditions. And so that, not to say that everything we put inside the safe is automatically going to be guaranteed to survive just because it's indoors. This is still Rockport, Texas. It's still 90% humidity anywhere near the door of any building, but that's at least we have a fighting chance that way. It was basically lessons learned from folks that have buried time capsules in this area. They just don't fare very well. You know, they end up with water in them no matter what you do to them. So courthouse made
Don't
sense.
seal it shut once the door is shut.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, we're looking for items, and we really need to get those together by April 15th. We gave it that tax day deadline so people could remember. But we're looking for, it could be, letters that you write to the future. It could be things related to 2021. Okay, so if you had things related to 2021, in 50 years, they'd be real curiosities, right? Probably.
Well, I got the yearbook, for example, 2021 yearbook from the high school, which I think will be neat because a lot of those kids will be alive in 2071. So that's those are some of the things that we've already collected along with artwork. And
So I was looking at anything that's going to be on paper should be scanned, and I was looking should be burned to a archive quality DVD or CD.
But
At least
CDs
5
aren't even in the
I
computers
understand,
anymore.
but lasers aren't going anywhere. I was actually reading about it, and you will always be able to adapt a laser as long as lasers are around and their light is going to be around. And that's where most media and storage is going, to some kind of light and digital. So
Might have to put the reader to read some of those discs in the safe too.
So they probably more than likely, and actually I was reading it off, I didn't bring the link tonight, I meant to. But they said that is still the best way to preserve it, because that technology, even though they may have to make a reader for it, they'd have the components and still have the knowledge to understand that you're just reading a microscopic blip with a light.
Well, we're going to purchase a raspberry. Well, it was close.
A Raspberry Pi in 50 years would probably not power
Be
on.
petrified.
Oh, really?
Right. It probably would not power on the circuitry, and it would suffer entropy. It would die.
Well, we need to talk about that before we buy it.
Yeah, that's a word you don't hear every day.
And that everything electronic, everything suffers from entropy. So it's going to suffer bit death. It's going to fail
Okay.
over time. And in 50 years, that stuff may have lost its electrical charge and not power back on.
So what is it that you're recommending? Because we've got a big enough thing.
Right.
We've got a budget big enough to buy what we need.
The
put in
archival quality.
The paper is no problem. Yeah.
Archival quality Blu-ray discs, which hold a
That's coming
whole
out
lot
of
of storage.
Cecil
I mean, they can hold about
Centennial.
120 gigs on a Blu-ray disc.
Mhm.
So
And then
you put a
something to
lot of
read it.
stuff on it. And something that'll read it can be made pretty easily in the future because everything's moving to laser powered. I mean, the laser optics are not going away. So getting something to read it in the future would be.
I wonder if some of those things like an annual or a book that she was talking about that you shouldn't like vacuum seal.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a librarian, Cheryl Livingston, who's on the society. She's president of the society, who has agreed to take that on with Mylar or whatever we need to use, anything that's acid free.
Right.
So that's in the
But
works.
archival Blu-ray discs or archival DVDs and CDs, and at least 4 copies of them. I'll send you the link that I found that kind
Yeah,
of broke
right.
down storing that media and why you shouldn't do electronics like a USB and things like that, because it was really helpful and I had it saved and then I got crazy today and totally forgot to bring it with me.
Hey, that's what we need. And anybody else who's got, can read up, because I guarantee you, I don't know this stuff. I mean, but we know that we could get a lot more information into that safe if we can scan things, and so.
I've got a digital file coming from Mike Probst on all the articles that I haven't got them yet, but all the articles that were written about the sesquicentennial. So he's sending those to me digitally. So then we can go from there.
Right.
Okay, one more thing I've got on my list, and that is that cemeteries, which is an ad hoc committee, there are cemetery books located in the History Center. So Betty put those together, notebooks that do have information on each cemetery to some degree. More actually on the Lamar Cemetery, because there are 2 books that have been created for the Lamar Cemetery. So those are really like history books, not just cemetery books. Really, really good. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. And I think that there are, depending on people's interest and time, there are, many things that a commission could do. Actually keeping up with what we've been doing is a good thing, but there are other things that could be done too. So if y'all think of things that fit, that's great. I think there's some things that the commission doesn't need to do. I don't think it needs to create exhibits because those are at the History Center. Talks are given at the History Center and for the society. So there's some things that the others sort of do, and there's no reason to repeat or add on to those unless it's a special occasion or like I think the dedication of the markers always gives high visibility. So okay, so that's kind of my ramblings.
Oh, thank you, Pam. That's great stuff. I knew everybody could learn a lot from just listening. One of the things that I have been working on has been resurrecting the VIP markers, because a lot of them were destroyed either through flooding or through Harvey or whatever. I think we've got every one of the VIP markers returned to us. I'm trying to get them all in one place at the John Strothman's got a vault and got some of them outside. So anyway, I'm at the final stage of ordering the posts and the support. Most of the plaques are already okay, but they don't have the post or they haven't got the thing. So I'll give you more information on that as we go.
Someone hit the one at the, in Fulton.
Which
near
one?
Near the,
The one that's over on the,
by bench warmers.
yeah, bench warmers.
I noticed it the other day.
How did they hit it? There's a
I don't know, they hit.
there's a
they-
fire hydrant in front of it.
Probably hit that too.
They did.
Oh,
They've knocked
so
over
what?
That's too
another,
much fun at Oyster Fest.
Yeah.
Too much fun at Oyster
But
Fest.
might have hit the golf.
I wonder where it is.
It's still there, but
Yeah,
it
it's
just
just bent.
bent.
Yeah, it's just
It's
bent.
It's still there, but
Well,
bent.
it's good because I haven't ordered yet. So whatever we need to order to resurrect that, I'll go check that out. Okay, well, thanks again, Pam. You're great. Moving right along under the THC Annual Report, it's a 150-page report that we have to report to the Texas Historical Commission. I'm not. It's a lengthy report, but what's so great about it is that with the total hours from all of our employees and committee members, appointees and committee members, was we absolutely put in 2,871 hours, which equates to $71,775, which we'll be presenting that in Commissioner's Court as
One of
a
those big
check.
checks.
One of those big checks. The last one was 62. This
Yeah,
is
that's a
71.
pretty good eclipse right
Yeah, it's a
there.
pretty good. So anyway, just wanted to bring you up to speed on that. May is Historic Preservation Month. Pam, you're back up.
Oh, yeah. So as I mentioned before, we really benefit by doing things with each other. And so we've got all three groups that I talked about doing an honor award for historic preservation. Everybody ought to get one of these because we need your input on this. And that is, we started this last year with the centennial, sesquicentennial. And we gave last year 3 awards for sites. We gave an award to the Hunts for the Fulton Burrell House restoration. We gave an award to the Rockport Cemetery for what they've done, especially post-Harvey. And then we gave an award to the Friends of the History Center for saving, moving that house and starting the History Center. So those are the 3 initial awards. And now we're asking for nominations for the next round of awards that we'll give in May. So we're asking to get these in by April 11th. The form is on the back. It's really not that detailed. You can do something general. You can do it by computer, or you can do it by hand and then mail it to us. But think about projects within the county that we really want to recognize people for. Maybe it's more restoration of buildings, or maybe it's a program, or maybe it's what's going on at this, again, at another one of the cemeteries. I'm not sure what, you thought about, but by bringing these up as examples of historic preservation, then we get people more interested. And so it's a really good thing to do. So almost anything, we still have some nominations from last year left over that we can go back to too. We just are looking for at least 3 good projects to give awards to. Pretty general.
Okay, thank you. Historical markers and endangered properties. The Klein building has been a big one that we're working on. Pam has already outlined and designed the Visionaries and Preservation marker, which is the ones that have the photograph on, the one that just got knocked down at Doodads. Those are all what we call VIP markers. And she's already, have you already submitted that?
Mm-hmm.
It's already been submitted and approved by the Ron Myers, who bought Klein's. One of the things that he's already leased Klein's to a New Braunfels antique group, and they have antique shops all over. So he's going to do that for like a 2-year lease. But we're still negotiating and trying to come up with the cost. What happened I got a letter from THC 2 weeks ago that said that the foundry for the markers has gone up 50% from 2013. So at this point, what was $1175 for the marker for Klein's could very well be a different story. They're going to meet in April. The committee will meet in April and come back as to what the actual cost of the markers are going to be. So I've been in touch with Ron on the Klein, and I can't give him a price. So it's kind of a catch-22.
So the pricing information that they have published now
is wrong. Well, they're gonna,
Yeah.
because the
from last
deadline.
meeting we had.
Exactly. It was, so anyway.
Are there any other places that do it?
Oh, it has to go through THC and it's their vendor. So.
And they went through a 2-year process trying to find a foundry.
Exactly.
Previous one went out of
Because
business.
the other one went out of
They're
business.
in Tennessee, I think.
Are they?
Yeah, they're not in Texas.
Okay, well,
Mhm.
shame on
That
them.
that adds a whole lot of transportation costs, but
Yeah, so anyway, I won't know until April what the cost is gonna be and when the THC meets at their annual meeting in April. Sorensen House, we're still working on that. Sandy Garrison, we're trying to get what has already been done on that. I think Pam has some information on the Sorensen House.
So this is a house on Water Street.
Yeah,
And we did submit it, but the THC kicked it back to us because they said it was too much about Sorensen's Mercantile, which already has a marker. And so this essentially needs to be rewritten to emphasize the architecture, how it survived, and then the family, and not so much, I mean, eliminate the mercantile part
Is
of it.
that Janie's house?
Mhm.
yeah. I also got a call from a gentleman, his name is Trip Hunt. It's actually Wayne Hunt, but he goes by Trip. And I went to see him and interviewed him. He's got a house at 10009 on Austin Street, North Austin, not far from the judge's house. And it's a beautiful old restored home built in the 1930s, and he just wants to preserve it. And so I went and interviewed him, whether it has any real historic significance, I don't know. He's supposed to get me some paperwork on it. He's got original deeds and that sort of thing. But anyway, there's a lot of research that has to go into it.
what is
So
the architecture style? Do we know? Is it anything unique or special?
I'm not an architect. I have no clue. It's like a cottage, if you will. It's got a front porch and got a gable roof, but I
What's the
don't.
address?
10009. 1009, sorry. Yeah, North Austin, South Austin, I guess it is,
No, north.
it's north, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's kind of what I've got on markers at this moment.
Do you need help? Do you want people to volunteer?
Absolutely.
You mean coming up with places that might be, is that what you're on?
Well, we've got,
Suggestion.
we really need to concentrate on the Sorensen.
Mhm.
So, yeah, anybody that wants to help, because most of the research has already been done on Sorensen. We just have to rewrite it to accommodate what Pam is telling us. So if we got to rewrite, so, but all the basic data, all the references are there, I would think, Pam.
Mhm.
Okay, so anybody wants to help with that, just speak up now or forever hold your peace.
Or hold till the next meeting.
Yeah, okay, we'll wait till next meeting. And that's September, so that's a long way off,
Yeah, I
so.
don't know it.
Okay, I'm gonna turn this over to Mike on the finance and budget. We need to approve it, and I didn't print it out, so.
I didn't
can-
either.
Can you-
I can kind of hit the highlights.
If you'll go to there's not much variation from the 2022 to the
23.
23.
Proposed, and
there's some variation.
There are some variations, so we basically had to, we had to adjust because of the price of markers and they were before, what were they each, 9 something?
Yeah,
And now they're gonna be closer to 1,200, so we still have the same bucket of money to work with and $10,000, so some things got cut, but we paid attention to the really important things, like conference, and the education and outreach. They got basically the same allocation they'd been getting in the past, but there may be a shortage of money for things like refreshments at a marker ceremony now, that we may have to look more to donations for that kind of thing, as opposed to being able to take it right out of the budget. But we did manage to get it into a workable number that well, we have it right at $10,000, but again, we covered the most important things first and everything else was left over. So if we don't do all of the markers, there could theoretically be money left over for things like refreshments.
How many do you have budget?
Three markers. And which is 3 sets of programs and 3 filing fees. The filing fees it's only $100, but it's still represented. 3 sets of invitations and then the installation of the markers, we just have that at $100. In the past, that's just been whatever you could get it done for.
Yeah, well, we used to have Russell too, so that would do some of that.
I know the one at the airport that we did that commemorated the Air Force base that was there in the 1950s and 60s. I planted that one myself with post hole diggers and 5 bags of concrete. So, but not everybody has that wherewithal, but $100 is, and if we need a volunteer, I can dig a post hole. So.
All right. Okay, what we need to do is approve this because I have to.
The only, I will
Oh,
say that
sorry.
that Dave has this titled as the 2022 budget request. It's the 2023 budget
Yeah.
request that we'll make in 2022. So that's we need to change
The
that.
way it works is I have to write a letter in April to the auditor and saying this is the projected budget for our 2023 and the use of our $10,000. Then, since we don't meet again until September, I mean, I have to produce this in April as a letter to them, and then it goes before the budget committee at Commissioners Court when you all start, June, July.
End of May.
Yeah,
I
so-
don't think we put the
Yeah.
calendar out, but
But
it's
anyway,
around that.
so that's the reason we're needing to get an approval from this committee to approve the 2023 projected budget. So I just need a motion.
So move.
What's the total amount of the budget?
It's
10,000.
10,000.
Oh, that's
Second,
right.
yeah.
It's 20, we get
Second
that,
by Jerry.
okay.
Rick,
Rick.
with the motion,
Yeah.
second by Jerry.
Jerry. Okay, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, Mike, you want to talk a little bit about public relations and outreach?
Well,
I think
so it was not done in the capacity as of a commission member, but everybody that knows me knows that I am on the historical commission and knows that I put emphasize that as much as possible. But so the Aransas County Independent School District has been looking at an aviation type program.
Oh, yeah.
And since I am the airport manager, I felt like I needed to step up there and try to do something for it. Well, we had an individual that kept a plane here part-time, and it just so happens it was here when the hurricane came through and it got some damage. And then he fell ill shortly after that and ended up losing his medical to fly. So it sat kind of just in disrepair out in the sun a few years. And then recently, I was finally able to talk him into just donating it to the ISD. So we were able to get that done. So we had the mechanic out at the airport, yanked the wings off of it, and we put it on a trailer and took it down there a couple of weeks ago. And so they've got the kids now at the Aransas County High School, Aransas County ISD High School, have the ability to turn wrenches on an actual real plane that may one day work its way into a certified oriented program where these kids can have a 9th through 12th grade program with curriculum and an instructor to when they graduate, they can have another option. If they're not college bound, they can sure work their way into a very high paying aviation career right here in South Texas too. So there's no sense we need to lose kids to other parts of the state or other states for aviation jobs. I know I sit on the board at Del Mar College for their aviation program, and Rolls-Royce and Dynacor and Vertex and all of the big engine repair and engine maintenance companies in South Texas that primarily do work at the Naval Air Station. They're all ready to arm wrestle over every graduate that Del Mar brings out of their program, out of their 18-month program. So if our kids had that coming out of high school, then they could compete for those jobs, right here locally and keep those tax dollars in South Texas where they belong. So.
in addition to that, I was talking to Paula Dean, who's also serves with me on the Coast of Bend Community Foundation Board, but she was able to get a grant to purchase 2 simulators.
And those simulators
And they are real
they're
simulators.
Redbird simulators, and that the time in those simulators qualifies as hours toward your certification or to a type rating or
Yeah.
something. So, if you need 10 hours in a twin, well, you can program that rascal up for a twin and do 10 hours in it, and you're ready to get a check ride. So not a bad deal.
Yeah.
Okay, there's really no report from collections. Pam talked about it, but I really need someone to help set up, Colin, we have no Wi-Fi capability still at the annex?
I have network in the building, so getting Wi-Fi there is a trivial issue for me.
Okay. But anyway, I'd love to have somebody, collections is complicated to some degree, but it's fun, like Pam says. You learn a lot and it's a matter of scanning. It's just a matter of, but you can only put 2 people in that room. I mean, it's little. If you got shelves on each side, so you're not much more than the width of this table. And
Yeah,
where
get
her
real
glass
close.
is, that's the table, the whole table. So,
No, will the computer be there? I mean, you
Yeah.
keep it in there
We'll keep it in
in
there.
the vault.
Once we actually start using it, I'll leave over there. But it's in my office.
Am I able to volunteer or
well,
I?
sure.
Oh,
I'll
volunteer.
be more
please.
than happy to volunteer.
Oh,
for
you'd
that.
be great with markers.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know if I would, I didn't
You're
know if I was
sly.
allowed to
I
volunteer
can
yet.
just
or-
tell, she's very
Yeah,
verbal.
absolutely. We used to have a young man that we paid to come in. He was high school. He was one of our students at Lamar Gumbo Palooza that we sponsored as for scholarship. And he's since moved on, but we paid him a certain amount of money, but as a volunteer, we don't have a lot of budget, as you said.
I don't need money. I
Yeah.
just want to do
No,
my
it'd be
thing.
great.
I didn't know if I was.
Fit right in with our next year's budget because we didn't budget a lot.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind help with that collections deal.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
what's your name again?
I'll send y'all all the information about the Past Perfect program, so y'all can do your crash
I did
course on how
some of
to
this
use
at Fort
it.
Davis.
And we'll
They
get it
had a
set up.
computer program and we did that with their artifacts.
Oh, good. Also, we had a great gal that did it for the History Center. She did that. So maybe we can recruit her to help us with the Past Perfect
Of course, I
software.
got paid.
And one of the things about Past Perfect, once we get the collection and stuff into it and get photos, Past Perfect offers, and this is
Yeah.
something once it's in there, where we can then publish it and have it online where people can go and actually search stuff that's in our vault. So that we
Yeah.
could actually have a public archive. of it.
Exactly, which is kind of
And
what
that's the
Roberta's been
goal.
looking at, was trying to display. So if we got it online, that would be. that would
So
be-
once we get everything into the computer, then we can turn it to Past Perfect and pay, and it's an annual subscription.
Yeah, which is
$200
due in March, by the way.
I know. I have it on my radar.
All right,
I think I've already paid it, actually.
didn't show up on the report.
I haven't budget coded it over yet.
Okay,
They'll post a website and we'll just be able to transfer digital records over to show it, to publish it, so.
Now, if people donate to donate artifacts to us, do they fill out a form
Mhm.
and everything?
you do. I've got several things to put in it. I haven't filled the form out yet. but I
There's a
need to.
name for it and I wouldn't blank what the form is.
A
But there is-
consignment form or?
Yeah, there's a form that we used to.
Whether
make
it's
it fill out.
donated for life or it's just
Yeah,
loan
or you make- that
online.
we get it from them, that they don't come back and ask us for it.
Exactly, yeah. All right, Roberta, that's nice. So good. We'll work on that. On the ad hoc, Sandy, they're having an annual meeting. I think it's this weekend coming up. Other than that, I don't have anything more on cemeteries.
And you're meeting out at Lamar, is that what you're?
Right, yeah. Tropical Trails is back. I send out their stuff that they send me. I always forward it so that y'all know what all the webinars are and seminars are, and Roma is the next one, I think.
That's a pretty good little ride.
Is it, where is Roma?
It's on the Rio Grande,
On the Rio Grande.
up the Rio Grande.
Oh, is it?
But it's a fascinating place that I haven't been, but I've read a lot about it.
Hope
But
they have the
'cause-
meetings in the wintertime.
yeah, they still have like 7 or early 1800s fort down there, if you can imagine, because in the 1800s, people had to have their own forts to protect themselves against banditos.
How neat.
And that's one of the things, I've got a big preservation effort down there.
Have you seen anything more on the south?
No, I'm sorry, I meant to email her and I just got off on other things today.
Okay. Well, the next meeting will be September 14th unless we need to call a special meeting. That's a good summer off, you know.
So you have to, this commission has to approve a marker nomination before it goes in. Do you want to
On the Klein building?
bring that up as
Oh, okay.
for something that gets approved tonight pending, or what do you think?
Well, yeah, because we need to approve it before they're due in May.
Yeah, May 16th is the final. So
Yeah, I forgot.
we've got most of the data on it. So it's $100 to send in the application. So is there a motion to approve that?
Make a motion that we approve the Klein marker.
Okay.
I'll second.
Oh,
Oh, they're all seconded.
no, I've said it backwards. Roberta and Colin. Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. I think we're done, kids.
Make a motion.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, the motion's been made and seconded.
To introduce you to the History Center.
Okay.
Got 100 of them.
She's recruiting.